FCS schools now officially have the opportunity to schedule 12 games a year. Well, I have 4 ways that HBCUs can maximize this opportunity. Oh, yeah, it's Locked On HBCU. Play my music.
You are Locked On HBCU, your daily podcast covering HBCU sports. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, family? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On HBCU podcast, your number one daily one-stop shop for everything HBCU athletics, Monday through Friday. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And now, of course, Sam Darrion Gray, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South, Texas Southern alum and former TSU Herald Sports editor and current contributing writer at USA Today, Saints Wire, and site expert at Who Dat Dish. Thank you for going on this journey with me, making Locked On HBCU your first listen of the day every day. And remember, everydayers, just because the mic cuts off does not mean that the journey is over. Just means it's time to follow me on Twitter at South Exclusives. Starts with an S and ends with an S. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. We'll wrap up today's episode with a look at Penny Collins, who is moving on from Tennessee State to the Memphis Grizzlies as he has taken an opportunity in the NBA. Segment 2, EA Sports is bringing back college basketball to the digital screen. Well, HBCUs must be a part of this. I think it'd be disrespectful if they aren't a part of this video game. But I want to kick this off with a different twist on something that we've talked about in the past. And that is the schedule change that goes into place for all FCS schools. FCS schools now have the opportunity to schedule 12 games every single year. It used to be that you can only do it on certain years, but now every year you can have 12 games. And I want to emphasize the word can, because it does not mean that they have to. This is not a regulation saying that FCS schools must play 12 games. That's important because if you choose to have 11 instead of 12, you can't take advantage of the things that I'm about to lay out. So every school is not going to do this. There is a chance that your school, and I'm not even going to say every school won't do it. Every school won't do it every year. There's going to be some years where North Carolina Central may decide to schedule 11 games. Maybe some years where Mississippi Valley State decides to schedule 12. I don't know it's still new. So I don't know how you're going to take advantage, how you're going to operate. What are you going to do? But let's talk about the 4 different ways that you can maximize the extra week that you have been receiving. Let's start off with health, right? Because I have 4 categories: health, visibility, financials, and competitiveness. So as you start off with health, you don't have to play 12 games, but you have that extra week. And with that extra week, you get the opportunity to have an extra bye week. So say you want to have, essentially the season is going to start for everybody week 0. It's not, I don't even think it's going to be called week 0 anymore, but what is now week 0 will just be week 1 for all of FCS football. FCS football will start their games a week earlier than everybody else, but you don't have to choose that. You can just add an extra bye week. Maybe you want to put a bye week in the midst of conference season that you wouldn't have normally received. Now you can just make sure that your team is healthier. You can make sure that your team is more prepared for a big time matchup. Let's say that you're going into the season understanding that Jackson State is the big dog. Jackson State, without a question, is the big dog in the SWAC. So let's take them as a school who everybody is gunning for, as they should. You want to schedule a bye week before you go play Alabama, before you go play Jackson State. If you're Alabama A&M, if you're FAMU, like, hey, I want to make sure that I have a week of rest before I go play that school. Or maybe you're Southern, even if you're on the other side of the bracket, Southern, PV. Let's say you're playing these schools that you know are going to be big time challenges for you. You might want to get an extra bye week just so you are prepared mentally, so you are prepared physically as far as recovery goes. You have that flexibility to just add that week in. That's a beautiful part of this. 2 bye weeks will come in advantageous, or will be advantageous for you as you go through the attrition that naturally comes with a longer season. Then the other one would be visibility. The start of the season is a week early. Now, this only gives you a 1 week window to do this. Now, the health, you can add a bye week at any time, but the visibility argument that I'm making, you must do in that first week of the season, because essentially this is really good for FCS football. I talked about how I wanted the MEAC SWAC challenge to be exclusive. I wanted the MEAC SWAC challenge to stand by itself. But if that's not going to happen because of other FCS matchups, I don't want HBCUs to sit out and say, this is going to be the only HBCU game we play. Let some other people take advantage of that, because it's going to be a special event regardless. That's just the truth of the matter to me. It is going to be a special event regardless. It will be the premier HBCU game that week, no matter what. I don't think that means you have to keep them away from everybody else and keep them isolated from all the HBCU scheduling. Let a school like, for example, this year is North Carolina Central versus Southern. Let a school like Delaware State get in on that week 1 action. Let them come in and play, because there is no FBS games to block. There is no FBS games to steal attention. It's a bunch of FCS games. And we'll talk about this when we get to segment 2. I don't think that FCS football has the same pull and sway. I could be wrong. Years of going through this may prove me to be wrong on this. But you take an Alabama versus who they play week 1. I think it's Florida State, because we were talking about this when it came to the Orange Blossom Classic. Alabama versus Florida State has a lot of pull. They have name recognition. They have all that. They have pull. But at the same time, I don't think that the 2 big FCS schools are going to have that same, we got to go watch it. Now, if it's North Dakota State versus, I'll just say Montana, I think North Dakota State by themselves has some pull. And if you know they're going against, and they promote it as if they're going against another top tier team, then yeah, you'll probably end up watching that game. It'll be a big draw. But in general, I feel like FCS football is not as name brand dominated as FBS football is. You just kind of go watch who you like. The opportunities are there. You're not gonna have games be smothered by other FCS games, in my opinion. Not in the regular season. So let a team like who somebody want to throw out there that I feel like could get a draw. Let FAMU. Let's do that with FAMU. Now, if you want to say the Orange Blossom Classic is my first game, cool. If you want to take it like TSU and PV, the Labor Day Classic is my first game. We're going to roll with that. We're not going to change that tradition. I understand. But if you don't have a week 1 tradition that you just want to go ahead and rock with, if you don't have a game that you want to be your first game of the year every single year, I would suggest you go take advantage of the greater amount of eyes that are going to be on FCS football. Next, financially, and this is simple. You can go schedule more money games. Simple and plain. Go schedule more money games with an extra game that you have the ability to play at any time. You don't have to play it that first week, but I don't know how you would do it otherwise. I think that would end up costing you less time off. So I think you kind of have to take advantage of that first week, but play a money game. Schedule yourself an FCS game that you normally would play in the middle of your season, or you would normally play week 3. Make that your first game of the year. Add yourself another money game. It's simple to me. I know it's all simpler from this right here, right? I get to sit back. I get to be on my couch and say, do this, do this, do this, do this. It's simple. I'm real comfortable. I'll be honest with you. This is the most comfortable I've ever been. And on this topic, this is as comfortable as anybody can be. But at the same time, there is a way, if you're going to have a second game or an extra game, there is a way to have it against a bigger school, and now you have more finances. It's not the one that I love, but it's definitely something that I think could be beneficial. And then lastly, just from a competitive aspect, I believe that if you want to go schedule a CAA game, I've always said, I think that the MEAC does a wonderful job of scheduling their matchups. They do a wonderful job of scheduling their matchups in the out of conference. I just like to watch them play them. I do. I just like to see them watch. I just like to watch them play other teams who are competitive. I like when they win these games. You go and you play Elon and you beat Elon and people are looking at you a certain kind of way. It's my favorite thing about North Carolina Central. It is. And I wouldn't mind if some SWAC schools who have been clamoring to do this for a while, now they have the opportunity without losing anything. See, I was like, hey, man, screw that Alabama game. Go play South Alabama or something like that. Now you can do both. Now you can go play competitive games. You can go play financial games. You can have an extra bye week if you wanted to. You can have more visibility if you take advantage of that first week where it's all FCS. This is great for FCS football. HBCUs need to use it to their advantage. I'll watch. The one thing I said that I think should be monitored above everything else is, do HBCUs take advantage of this? Or do they say we want the MEAC SWAC Challenge to remain the only HBCU game that is played? That is something that I do not know the answer to. That is something that the commissioners of the SWAC and the MEAC are going to have to decide. This is, that was a trash whistle. Let's try that again. Yeah, there we go. That's something that the commissioners are going to have to decide. But it's something that will be interesting. Anyway, let's keep rolling. Let's get digital. Let's get digital, guys. Y'all see it. Y'all see it. No brands, but this is a controller right here. And in about 3 years, I expect I'll be able to pick up one of those and I'll be able to play with HBCUs on EA Sports College Basketball. I better be able to play with them. And I'll tell you why I have so much emphasis on this as we continue with Locked On HBCU. Guys, I know that you probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you even tried them. But if you're looking for something that goes beyond just the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet. Rugiet Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rugiet's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in, on average, 15 minutes. So you ready to get right to it immediately. Effects can last up to 36 hours too, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. Traditional options haven't worked for you. Rugiet might be the answer, with over 150,000 men already making that switch. Head to Rugiet.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege to get 15% off today. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege and use promo code LockedOnCollege for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted, but to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit Rugiet website for full safety information. As we continue rolling on today's episode of Locked On HBCU, I appreciate you for making this your first listen of the day. Every day for your second listen, make sure you're checking out Locked On NFL if you want to hear about the Jalen Ramsey trade. Make sure you're checking out Locked On NBA if you want to hear about free agency. Make sure you're checking out Locked On HBCU if you missed any episodes. Also, drop comments. We're doing Monday mailbags. I already got one identified from the Monday episode. I would love to get one from today's episode and also Friday. Try to get about 3 or 4 comments to read, or DMs work too. I'll make sure I'm checking my DMs, or tweet at me. But I want to make sure I'm reading. I want to make sure that I am reading comments. I'll make sure I'm answering. I think that's a really good way for me to be able to connect with you and be able to kind of interact. So let's move forward. Anyway, HBCUs have a significantly better chance. I'll be real with you. HBCUs have a significantly better chance of being a part of EA Sports college basketball game than they do in being added to EA Sports college football game. These are two completely different lanes. I understand that they're both college athletics. I understand that they're both made by EA Sports. I get all of that, but these are not the same. Let's be very clear. These are not the same, and I want to break down why. First off, EA Sports is running it back with the college basketball game. I mean, they saw the wild success that came with EA Sports College Football 25, and they said, why not? Let's do basketball. I don't necessarily agree with the fact that, let me not say I don't agree. Back it up, rewind. I don't necessarily think that it's a one-to-one comparison. No one said it was, so I can't say I disagree with it. But I don't think it's a one-to-one comparison. I don't think that just because college football was successful means that college basketball will be successful. I don't remember people clamoring for EA Sports college basketball. I don't remember people saying, man, I really miss being able to use X, Y, and Z. But if they bring it back, this is an opportunity for HBCUs to dive into the digital sphere. I can't pick up this right now. If I want it right here, I should talk this whole episode or this whole segment with this here. If I wanted to sit here and play with an HBCU, I can't do it in football unless I create the team. I expect that to not be the case in EA Sports college basketball. I expect HBCUs to be a part of this game. Matter of fact, I think it'd be disrespectful if I can't pick up this here controller. And if you want to, sponsor me, I could do this too. Anyway, if I can't pick up this here controller and play with an HBCU without creating them on EA Sports college basketball, I think that it is a spit in the face of HBCUs and it is a spit in the face of mid-majors. Here's the deal. In my opinion, mid-majors are the lifeblood of March Madness. And March Madness is arguably a top 3, top 5 sporting event that happens on an annual basis. So take out the World Cup, take out the Olympics. I'm talking about on a yearly basis. I don't know if there are 5. I don't know if there are 3 events that are bigger or better than March Madness. And I know that last one is extremely subjective, but overall, you go through it. Some people will say World Series if you're a baseball fan. I don't think that there's a better collegiate event. Maybe as a football head, if the playoffs start picking up steam, I may change my tune. But right now, there's not a bigger collegiate event, in my opinion, than March Madness. I would actually go and say March Madness is probably number 2 for me. The Super Bowl and then March Madness. That's my order. Let me know what you think, but that's my order. The best part about March Madness for many people is the Cinderella teams. The best part about March Madness for many people is being able to see the mid-major that you didn't think was going to do anything, and they make it to the second or third to last round. That's what people love. I could spin it and get a little bit different about it now and say that mid-majors are the lifeblood of high majors because they just keep going to the transfer portal after players have already developed. I could go there, but I won't. I'll leave it there. I'll leave it right there and get it back here. You're going to have a March Madness because, mind you, if you have a college basketball game, you have to have a March Madness. You're going to have a story mode. You have to have the NCAA tournament. Are you going to have the NCAA tournament with no mid-majors? Are you going to have selective mid-majors? That's all kind of odd. I know you're not about to have a 64 team NCAA tournament with just Power 4 schools. I know you're not doing that. That would be insane. That would be a blatant missed opportunity. Because guess what? Everybody wants to know what's going on with is it Florida Coastal, Gulf Coastal? It was a while ago. But it was Florida. I think it was Florida Coastal. I don't know. But they had a bunch of lobs. They was a really big alley-oop team about 6-7 years ago, I think. More than that. I think it was like 7-8 years ago, actually. Yeah, it was definitely pre-pandemic. Sheesh, we about 5 years in the pandemic, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, I just don't think that you can have a college basketball game without the inclusion of mid-majors. And I don't know why you would only take selective mid-majors. I know they can afford it. I'm pretty confident that EA Sports can afford to pay the financials out to all of these schools. I'm pretty sure they can do it. And I know everybody's not going to get the same rate, right? Like the high majors are probably going to get paid more than the mid majors. They should. That's just how it goes. But I'm sorry. The other thing I would say is seeing a mid major, specifically an HBCU, defeat a high major isn't the craziest thing. It's a surprising thing because it's an upset, but it's not as if, wow, I didn't see that coming. I could have never seen that coming. It's not unfathomable. It's not at all. If I've seen Texas Southern beat Florida, I've seen the SWAC Pac-12 challenge, and I've seen 3 SWAC schools winning that. I've seen multiple times. I've seen Norfolk State be competitive. I've seen Jackson State go be a 14 seed. I've seen Norfolk State women's basketball be high seeding, or as far as the mid-major goes for the MEAC. I've seen this. I've seen mid majors, I've seen HBCUs be way too successful. I've had them have way too many moments to not be involved in this game. It wouldn't make sense to me. Mid majors, for a lot of people are their favorite part about the most important part of college basketball, which is March Madness. So you have to include the mid majors. I don't think you'd be selective. Build this out. Build this out. I think that this is a spit in the face if you don't see HBCUs. Honest and truly. Also, they weren't in the game. So it's not as if this is something they've never done. They have been in the game before. So let's put them back in now when this game comes back in 2028. Let's push forward, though. One person that will not be there when the games open up in 2028 is Penny Collins, because he is leaving Tennessee State to be a part of the Memphis Grizzlies coaching staff. And this is a big move for Collins. It's a big move for HBCUs. And I want to highlight all of that as we continue with Locked On HBCU. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. And have you ever wished that managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can be. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, which I know I am, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So, in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. Maybe you want to help manage or be able to manage your money better with your partner. That makes it simple too. So go ahead and go to Monarch Money. Take control of your money or take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for half off your first year. As we're wrapping up today's episode of Locked On HBCU, I appreciate you for making this your first listen of the day every day, making it all the way to segment 3. And I thank you 2 times for that. Thank you. Thank you. Whew. Penny Collins is out of Tennessee State. What a run he had, and it was capitalized off by making a move to Memphis. He's staying within the state, going from Nashville to Memphis. He's going from Tennessee State to the Memphis Grizzlies. And this is a move that for me is bigger than basketball. Yes, he has success with Tennessee State. He has success with the Tigers, winning 3 18-win seasons or having 3 18-win seasons. First coach in Division I in the Division I era to do that for the Tigers. Had back-to-back 18-win season at one point. He was able to have solid tournament runs. Like, he has been a successful coach with the Tigers. I don't think that there is any denying that. But it's rare that you see an HBCU coach make the jump to the NBA. You look at a guy like Johnny Jones, who he has a lot of resume. He has a long resume, a lot of things on there. You ain't really heard much about him. And he was winning championships in the SWAC. You ain't really hear much about the movement. I don't know what he accepted, what he didn't accept, but I didn't hear much chatter about Johnny Jones making a jump out of Texas Southern. It's not easy to make that HBCU jump. It's not. Tamika Reed, dominant. Tamika Reed has been dominant. She made up to a mid-major. Same with Larry Vickers. He went to a high major. So it's difficult to make that leap. And I'm not saying go from head coach to head coach, because he's obviously not going to be the head coach of the Grizzlies, but he is going to be a part of that staff. And for me, this is something that should be celebrated. I know moments like this can feel bittersweet. I understand that moments like this can feel like, dang, I wish he wasn't gone, but I'm happy for his opportunity. That's okay. But I think we need to acknowledge the size of this accomplishment. I think we need to acknowledge that his leap from the FCS, excuse me. His leap from mid-major, from Tennessee State specifically, from an HBCU. Yeah, let's not do all of that. His leap from an HBCU, who doesn't have any players who have been drafted, I think, in the last decade. Robert Covington is the last one to be drafted from an HBCU. To make that leap as a coach in a position of power to remaining on the coaching staff is a big deal. It's a big deal that should not be downplayed. So I can't wait to see what the trajectory is. This just tells you how fast he's rising. That's all this does. It just tells you how fast he's rising, that he was able to make that move from Tennessee State to the Memphis Grizzlies. And I know it's within the state. He probably has those relationships, but relationships don't get you everything. I know they always say it's not what you know, it's who you know. Yes, but you still have to know something. You need to know something and someone, but you do have to know something. You feel me? Anyway, Eric Buggs is going to be the interim head coach. I think that this is solid. Don't try to rush it. Don't try to rush it. Get yourself an interim head coach. Buggs, he recently was a part of a regular season OVC championship team with UT Martin. So this is solid to me. This is good. This is good planning, because you're losing your head coach in basketball, men's basketball, and you're losing your head coach in football in the same offseason. We're seeing something similar like that with Alabama A&M, except they got rid of Maynard and they got rid of, I don't remember who their basketball coach was. Was it Omar? I think it might be Omar something. But you moved on. These guys stepped away. Eddie George stepped away for a different opportunity. Penny Collins is stepping away for a different opportunity. These are guys that you wish that you could have held on to. In football, you were able to go get Reggie Barlow, and that's a great hiring that, to me, offsets the loss of Eddie George. It may not offset it in year one, but in the long haul, I think that he's a good coach, and you'll feel like you have a successful head coach at the helm. All that happens for Tennessee State is you push that back a year. You're pushing that back 1 year because you're going to have an interim. And at July, right? Like this happened, it was either June 30th or July 1st. It was one of them. But this happened in the middle of the summer. You can't expect to go get a head coach right now. Now, maybe you pull a rabbit out of the hat, because I had this same speech when it came to the Tennessee State football team. Maybe you end up pulling a rabbit out of the hat. But to me, it ain't happening. You rock with the interim for a year. He's young. I like this for Buggs. You give him a year, see what he can be, and maybe this builds into something. Maybe you have somebody who is in-house. I was actually going to say we saw multiple examples, but we didn't. We saw one. We saw Jackson State. It worked. James Colsey, the jury is still out. He'll have his opportunity to prove himself in year 2. But we'll see what happens. Speaking of TC Taylor, we're going to break down that Jackson State documentary that they put out with Under Armour. I thought they had a really good slogan. Why not go back to back? I know it seems simple, but I liked it. We'll talk about that documentary on Friday's episode, excuse me. But in the meantime, in between time, until the next time that we hear each other, family, take care. Stay blessed. Peace.